Mr. Midas is here. How's it going today? I know my face right in the camera, right in your view there. Hey, we're going over the part 2 this time of simplifying radical expressions. Now this time what I want to look at is multiplying radical expressions that have like a plus or a minus in them. Maybe adding or subtracting some radical expressions. And so we'll take a look at that. This is just the opening from the last video, and you'll notice here that it's pretty much the same thing, only now we're doing a little bit more. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these examples. All right, so something you want to remember is that when you are adding or subtracting two radicals, you need to have the radicals to be the same number underneath. You cannot add them just like they are in this case. Okay, they have to be the same. You cannot add them. Now, the nice thing here, folks, is that when they are the same, it's just like adding like terms when you're dealing with polynomials. So the really hard part here is going to be getting them to be like terms, getting them to be like terms. So they have to have the same thing in the square root. So let's take a look. We're going to need to simplify 50 here, and that's going to be 25 and 2. Now, if you don't remember this, go back to my last video. Remember that we're trying to find two numbers so that one of them is going to be a perfect square into that number to split it up. And we want to get it so that the number that I have left in the square root is going to be, you can't split that up anymore. So in this case, 25 and 2 is going to be the one that works here. All right, so we square root those separately. One of the mistakes that students make a lot, and this is 9 and 2, is that they tend to bring the 2 out and leave the 9 in, which doesn't quite make sense, right? Because it's the square root of 25 that equals 5, not the square root of 2. So I've seen this a lot. I've seen this, okay? Don't do this, and this is probably, you know what? I'm going to erase this because this is probably right in my face when I upload this and I edit it. Do not do this because I've seen this before. They split it up like this, and they think, oh, this is going to be 2 square root 25. No, that's not right. Okay, that's not right. The square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 2 is just square root of 2. All right, so it's 5 root 2. Man, I sound like I'm yelling at you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to yell at you. I just want to hammer down that fact that we can't do that and write it correctly. Okay. So 7 times 5 is 35, root 2, plus 6 times 3. Now notice here we now have the square roots the same. And like I said before, in the beginning of this video, you want the square roots to be the same. Because when the square roots are the same, we can add them together like terms. Now in this case, folks, do not add the 2 and the 2 together. All right? The thing inside the square root just stays there. It's like I said, it's like adding like terms. If this was 35x plus 18x, all you would do is add the 35 and the 18, okay, which is going to give you 53, right? So 53x. It's the same thing here, all right? This is 53 square root 2. So the square root 2 stays the same, but you just add the numbers in the front. That's it. But you gotta remember that those two need to be the same square root. You cannot add them if they're not the same square root. All right, let's take a look at the next example. All right, now we've got a bunch of them here, so we're going to simplify each of them and then add them together, okay? So let's go and do that. So we'll simplify this one, and we're going to get 9 and 5 here. This one looks like 4, well, let's see. If we don't know, we'll break it up. 40 and 2, 10 and 4, 5 and 2. So we got 4, that's a perfect square, and we got 2 times 2, which is 4, so 16. 16 times 5. I'm going to bring these guys down here. And then 20 is going to be 4 and 5. See, if we do this right, we should have, we see this 5 here, we see the 5 here, we see the 5 here. It means we're going to have all of them are going to have square root of 5s in them, so that's going to be nice. All right, so we're going to have 3 times 3 root 5 minus 5 times 4 root 5 plus 4 times 2 root 5. And I get these because square root of 4 is 2, square root of 16 is 4, square root of 9 is 3. All right, so 3 times 3 is 9, root 5. minus 20 root 5 plus 8 root 5. Now we're just going to put them all together because the root 5 stay in there, right? So we're just going to add 9, negative 20, and 8. And we're going to get, let's see, 12 is 3, right? 3, negative 3 root 5. Okay, and that's our answer, all right? So that's how we simplify square roots. Here's a practice problem for you, so you should write it down and then try it out and see what you get. I'll do it real quick for you. Uh, 9 times 3. So we're going to have 8 times 2 root 3 plus 4 times 3 root 3, which is going to give us 16 root 3 plus 12 root 3, which equals 28 root 3. All right, hopefully you got that. Let's go on. All right, so now what happens if you have two things like this where you multiply them? Well, guys, all you're going to do is distribute it properly. So you're going to do FOIL. All right, FOIL, FOIL, FOIL. All right, so 2 times 4 is 8, plus we'll do 7 root 5 times 4, which is going to be, we're going to multiply the 7 and the 4. We're going to leave that root 5 alone. All right, so that's going to be 28 root 5 minus 2 times negative 3 root 5 is going to be 6 root 5. And then this one right here, 7 root 5 and negative 3 root 5, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the 7 and the 3, which is going to give you 21. And then when you do the root 5 times root 5, that's going to be root 25. So what happens every time here, as long as these are the same, you're going to end up with just what was in the square root. So I'll just do it out. I'll do the next step, okay? So this is going to be, you multiply, if you're doing you're doing root 5 times root 5, that's going to be root 25. Okay, so we're going to have 8 plus 22 root 5, because I added these like terms right here, minus 21 times square root of 25 is 5. All right, so this is going to be 110. So 8 minus 110 is going to be 22 root 5 minus 102. Okay, and that's our answer. All right. So why don't you go and try this one out just like I did the last one. Okay, just multiply it all out. All right, and see what you get. This will be a practice problem. Okay. All right, so here's what you do. You go 5 times 4, which is 20. Then 5 times 2 root 6 is 10 root 6 minus 4 root 6, because we multiply these two. Okay, minus 2 times the square root of 36. So we're going to get 20 plus, we're going to add these two together, and we're going to get 6 root 6. And we're going to get 2 times 6. Okay, 2 times 6 is 12. 20 minus 12 is 8 plus 6 root 6. Negative 8. No, positive 8. Positive 8. 20 is bigger. Okay, and there you go, guys. That's it. Boom. See? Not too bad. All right. Okay, so now what happens if these are practice problems, guys? If you want to take them down, come back and ask me in class. I want to make this video as short as possible, so I just gave you a practice problem, but there are a couple more practice problems you can do. All right, so you can go ahead and take a look at this. Coincidentally, I'll get to it in just a second. All right, so what happens if you have a square root in the denominator? Remember I told you in the last video that you want to get rid of the square roots in the denominator. Well, what happens if you have a plus in there? So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply by what we call the conjugate. Now, a conjugate, oh, I spelled that wrong. What a conjugate is, it's basically, it's the same expression just with the opposite sign in the middle. So if I have 6 plus root 3, the conjugate is 6 minus root 3, okay? So all it is you're going to, instead of a plus here, you're going to have a minus. You've got the same terms, just the opposite sign. That's what a conjugate is. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by this conjugate. Now what this conjugate does, if you remember difference of squares, what's going to happen is the square root's going to cancel out once I multiply this together, all right? So watch what happens. I'm going to have negative 12 plus 2 root 3 on the top. Now, if I multiply this using FOIL, I'm going to have 36 minus 6 root 3 plus 6 root 3 minus root 3 times root 3 is just going to be 3, right? Because it's going to be root 9, which is root 9 is that. So these guys, look, they're opposite, so they cancel out. And that's why we multiply by the conjugate. And we have over 36 minus 3 is 33. And that is our answer, okay? So when you have a plus or minus on the bottom, you're going to multiply by the conjugate, okay, which is just that. Okay, so here's another one. Why don't you try this one as a practice problem, just like I did the other one, and then come back and see what you can do, okay? All right, so let's go and do this. We're going to multiply by the conjugate. Remember, that's 9 plus root 5. 9 plus root 5. Ooh, my pen is not working, guys. Maybe if it to try a different color. Okay, so I'm going to get 27 plus 3 root 5 over 9 times 9, 81, minus 9 root 5 plus 9 root 5. If you've seen my other videos, you know that my 5s don't work with my pen for some reason. Minus square root of 25, which is going to be 5. So we're going to have 27 plus 3 root 5, and I get that because I distribute this, right? Over, these guys cancel, 81 minus 5 is 76. All right, and there's our answer. Okay? All right, here's a couple of practice problems if you want to try these out. Bring them to class so you can see what you get. Just remember that when you square something, you're doing 2 plus root 6 and 2 minus root 6. All right, I'm sorry, 2 plus root 6 times 2 plus root 6. Okay, I've got a second here. Let me give you the answers for these real quick. 4 plus 4 root 6 plus 6, which is going to get 10 plus 4 root 6. So this is going to be your answer for this one. And then the conjugate here. Conjugate. 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 Conjugate who? Conjugate what? 2 minus 5 root 6, or 20 minus 5 root 6 over, looks like 22, because these guys go away. All right? Bam, 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 bam! Bye.